Disclaimer: this content is only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. That night changed everything. I still remember the way he looked at me, calm on the outside, but something was brewing beneath. My husband, the man I thought I knew better than anyone, made a decision that left me speechless. A decision I didn't see coming. And even now, it keeps playing in my mind like a loop I can't turn off. We'd been married for almost 5 years. Like every couple, we had our good days and our tough ones. But we were close, more than close. We were friends, lovers, partners. We laughed a lot, fought sometimes, but always came back to each other. That's why what happened that night shook me so deeply. Because it came from him. It started out like any other evening. We had dinner together, joked around a little, and talked about weekend plans. There was nothing unusual. But something was off. I didn't catch it at first, just small things. The way he avoided eye contact when I asked how work went. The way he kept checking his phone, silent but clearly distracted. He wasn't himself. I thought maybe he was stressed. Maybe he was tired. So I didn't press it. I trusted him. I've always trusted him. Then, around midnight, he asked me to sit down. The way he said it, it wasn't casual. It was serious. He looked me straight in the eyes, and that's when I felt it. The tension. The weight of something about to fall. And what he said next was nothing I ever expected to hear from the man I married. In one sentence, everything shifted. It wasn't cheating, and it wasn't about another woman. It was something deeper, something about him, about us. A choice that had been building inside him for a while. One he hadn't shared until now. And once he said it, nothing between us would be the same. It wasn't just about love. It wasn't just about marriage. It was about trust, friendship, and what we really owe each other in a relationship. His decision forced me to question everything. Was I blind to the signs? Did I miss something? Or was this just who he really was all along? The rest of the night is a blur: tears, silence, long stares across the room. I didn't know what to say, and maybe he didn't either. But that moment. I'll never forget it. I want to know what you think. What would you have done in my place? Have you ever had someone you love surprise you in a way you couldn't predict? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you were me, would you walk away or stay and try to understand? Tap the poll above and tell me, can love survive when someone makes a life-changing choice without you? And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next part of this story. Trust me, it only gets more complicated from here. I didn't sleep that night. Not a minute. I just lay there beside him, staring at the ceiling while my mind tried to make sense of everything he'd said. He was asleep, or at least pretending to be. His breathing was steady, his body still. Mine wasn't. My heart was racing like I just heard something impossible, something that didn't fit into the life we had built together. Earlier that evening, when he sat me down and told me his decision, I felt the air shift in the room. The walls didn't move, but it felt like they closed in. He said he'd been thinking about it for months. Quietly. Alone. And that's what hurt the most. We were supposed to share everything. But he carried this in silence. We met in college. He was the guy everyone liked, funny, chill, the type of person who could talk to anyone and make them feel seen. I was the opposite. Quiet, more to myself, always observing before speaking. Somehow, we fit. He balanced me out, and I grounded him. Over time, we became inseparable. Our relationship grew from long talks at coffee shops to moving in together, building a life step by step. We knew each other's flaws, fears, and dreams, or so I thought. The past year had been stressful. Work was hectic, we were trying to save for a house, and we'd had a few arguments about family boundaries and future plans. But I thought we were managing. We still laughed. We still said I love you every day. So when he said he wanted to change everything, I didn't understand. He didn't use the word leave. He didn't say divorce. But it was close. He said he needed to be alone for a while, to figure things out. He said he felt like he was losing himself in the routine, like he didn't know who he was anymore, not as a husband, not as a man. He wanted space. Not for someone else, not because of a fight, but because something inside him was pulling away from the life we had. That's the part one couldn't shake. He didn't sound angry. He wasn't cold. He just looked tired. Tired of pretending everything was okay. And the more he talked, the more I realized how much he'd been keeping inside. But I also felt betrayed. Because while I was showing up every day, doing life together, he was emotionally checking out. I kept asking myself, what did I miss? When did the distance start? Were there signs I ignored? Did I hold him back somehow? Even the way he worded it, "I need time to think," felt like the door wasn't fully closed, but it wasn't open either. It left me stuck in the middle, unsure whether to fight for us or let go. Now I was lying there next to him, feeling like a stranger had entered our marriage. And the scariest part? I wasn't sure if I wanted to hear the rest of what he had to say. If you've ever felt blindsided by someone you love, let me know in the comments. How did you handle it? Would you give them space, or ask them to stay and work it out? Stick around, the next part of this story goes deeper, and things take another turn I didn't see coming. The next morning felt different. Colder. Even though the sun was out and everything around us looked normal, something in the air had shifted. We didn't speak much. He made coffee like he always did, but there was a quiet tension in the way he moved. No small talk, no kiss on the cheek like usual. Just silence and the echo of what he'd said the night before. I kept watching him, wondering if he regretted saying it, or if he felt relief finally getting it out. I couldn't tell. He was calm, too calm. Like he'd already made peace with whatever was coming next. Meanwhile, I was still in shock. Trying to act normal but feeling anything but. As the day went on, I started replaying everything. Not just the night before, but the months leading up to it. The times he came home late without explanation. The long hours on his phone with the screen turned slightly away from me. I never thought twice before, because I trusted him. But now, every little moment felt suspicious. I didn't want to go down that path, but the mind does what it does when it's hurt. There was another layer to this that made it worse. A few weeks earlier, we'd talked about starting a family. We weren't actively trying, but it was on the table. We even laughed about baby names one night while watching a movie. So how could he go from that to needing space? That's where my thoughts kept circling. Was he scared of becoming a father? Was that the trigger? Or was it deeper, something in him breaking apart that had nothing to do with me, yet affected everything we had? Later that day, I got a message from his sister. Just casual, checking in. She had no idea what was happening. Part of me wanted to reply and say, "Ask your brother what he's doing," but I didn't. I couldn't bring anyone else into this mess, not yet. The weirdest part was, we still lived under the same roof, shared the same kitchen, same bed. But it didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like waiting. Waiting for him to either pull me back in, or finally walk away. Do you think people should be honest even when the truth breaks something? Or is it better to protect someone from the full story? Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell me, what do you think his real reason was? Because trust me, what happens next will make you question everything. By the third day, the silence between us wasn't just quiet, it was loud. The kind of loud that fills your chest and makes every small sound feel like a warning. We barely spoke, but we were around each other constantly, pretending to live normal routines while everything underneath was unraveling. Every time he walked past me, I wanted to ask what he was thinking. But something in me held back. Maybe fear. Maybe pride. Maybe both. That evening, something shifted. I came home from work to find him sitting at the kitchen table, staring at a closed notebook. His phone was off. No TV, no distractions. Just him, in his own world. I didn't want to disturb him, but I knew that if we didn't talk now, whatever we had left would slip through the cracks. So I asked, gently, "Do you still want to talk?" He looked up, and for the first time in days, his eyes looked tired. Not just physically, but emotionally drained. "There's something else," he said. "That's all. Just that." And right then, I felt a knot form in my stomach. He reached for the notebook but didn't open it. "I didn't just want space," he said. "There's something I haven't told you. About me. About before we met." His voice was steady, but there was a tremble in his hand. "I've been holding it for years. I thought I buried it. But it's coming back now. And I don't know how you'll see me after this." That was the moment everything slowed down. I felt like I was standing on the edge of something I couldn't name. I didn't know if it was about a mistake, a secret from his past, or something deeper. But I could feel it. This wasn't just a relationship drifting apart. This was about identity. Truth. Maybe something he never felt safe enough to say until now. I didn't speak. I just nodded, and he stared at the notebook again, like it had answers he couldn't say out loud. And then, just as he started to open it, his phone lit up with a message. He saw it. He froze. Then he picked up the phone, stood up, and said, "I need to take this." And just like that, he walked out the door. Now I'm standing here, alone again, with a notebook that might hold the key to everything or nothing at all. What do you think is in that notebook? And who messaged him right at that moment? Drop your theories in the comments. I'll tell you this, the next part will change the way you see everything that came before. He didn't come back that night. I waited for hours. I sat on the couch with the unopened notebook resting on my lap, flipping it back and forth, wondering if I should open it myself. Part of me felt like I had every right to. Another part didn't want to find something I couldn't unsee. The minutes turned into hours, and still nothing. No texts. No calls. Just silence. Around 2 a.m., I finally gave in. I opened the notebook. But it wasn't what I expected. There were no confessions, no deep secrets written down, at least not in the way I imagined. It was more like fragments, scraps of thoughts, unfinished letters, memories written in messy handwriting. Some pages were just dates. Others had names I didn't recognize. One entry kept repeating a phrase, "Don't make the same mistake twice." That line hit me hard. I flipped further, and one page stopped me cold. It had my name at the top, just my name, circled 3 times, and underneath, a single sentence: "She deserves the truth even if it ends everything." My chest tightened. What truth? Just then, the front door opened. He came in looking like he'd aged 10 years in a single night. His eyes were red, not from tears, but exhaustion. He didn't say anything at first. Just dropped his phone on the table and looked at me. I didn't even ask where he'd been. I just held up the notebook. "Why didn't you just tell me?" He sat down slowly, rubbing his hands together like he was trying to warm up. "Because once I tell you, I don't get to take it back. And I don't know what that means for us." Then he said something I never saw coming. "The person who texted me, it wasn't just anyone. It was my ex. Not an ex-girlfriend. My ex-wife." That word hit like a slap. Wife. He looked straight at me, guilt heavy in his voice. "I was married before. Years ago. It ended badly. We both agreed to move on and keep it private. But now, she's back. And she's saying things that could ruin everything. Things about me, about what I did." My brain froze. This wasn't about needing space. This wasn't just identity or fear. This was something else entirely. "What did you do?" I asked. He hesitated. I didn't hurt her. But I hurt the relationship. I wasn't honest then either. And now she's saying if I don't tell you everything, she will. The room was spinning. Suddenly our relationship wasn't just about us, it had shadows I never knew existed. I couldn't even think straight. My world had flipped again, and I wasn't sure what to believe anymore. So here's the real question: what would you do if you found out the person you love had a whole life before you that they never told you about? Do you forgive them? Or walk away before the damage spreads? Comment below and tell me, would you stay, or is trust too broken at this point? Because in the next part, I finally hear the full truth. And nothing is the same after that. He finally told me everything. We sat on opposite sides of the couch. His voice was low, steady, like he'd rehearsed this in his head 1,000 times. He said his first marriage fell apart because of one thing: lies. Not cheating. Not abuse. Just lies built on top of more lies until everything collapsed. He wasn't honest about who he was, what he wanted, or even where he went some nights. He didn't know how to communicate back then, and by the time he figured it out, the damage was already done. His ex left without saying goodbye. But now, she was back with a warning. She said she saw us on social media, he explained. And she thinks I'm repeating the same patterns with you. That I'm running from myself again. She said if I didn't come clean, she would. That was the message. That's why he left that night. He didn't run to her, he ran from the fear of being exposed. I asked him one question: are you still in love with her? He looked at me, eyes wide. No. I'm terrified of turning into the version of me that she knew. That's what I've been hiding. Not her, me. And just like that, the weight started to shift. I saw him not as someone who betrayed me, but as someone scared of losing control again. We talked for hours. Not everything was fixed, but something opened up between us that hadn't been there before. Real honesty. I told him that hiding his past almost ruined everything, but facing it, maybe that could save us. Then came the twist. The next morning, I got a message. Not from him. From her. His ex-wife. She wrote, "You deserve to know he's not telling you the whole story. Check the date on the divorce papers. Ask him why it took so long." I froze. I hadn't thought to check that. Why would I? He said it was over years ago. Now a new question burns inside me. Was our entire relationship overlapping with the end of theirs? Did he start fresh with me? Or was I the reason it ended? So now I'm back at the edge. The truth helped us begin again. But this twist. It might be the one that ends it for good. What would you do now? Would you ask him for the papers? Would you believe him or her? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because in the final part, I confront him and everything comes out. Don't miss it. I didn't wait long. That same day, I asked him straight out, "When did your divorce actually happen? Don't tell me, show me." I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just needed the truth, all of it, once and for all. He looked at me for a long time, then stood up, went to the drawer where we kept our important papers, and handed me the document. It was dated almost 6 months into our relationship. Quiet. Clean. No mess, no overlap on paper. But emotionally, that was a different story. I didn't cheat, he said. But yeah, I was still tangled in it when we met. I didn't plan for you. You just happened. And I didn't know how to close one door before opening the next. It wasn't what I wanted to hear, but it was real. We sat in silence after that. The kind of silence that doesn't hurt, it just lets things settle. Over the next few days, we had conversations we should have had years ago. About who we were, who we've become, and whether we wanted to keep choosing each other. He apologized, not just with words, but with honesty. I stopped looking for perfect answers and started listening to his flaws instead. And that's how we began to rebuild. Not from the same place, but from a more honest one. His past wasn't pretty, but mine wasn't spotless either. We were both still learning how to be better for each other. And maybe that's what real love looks like. Not spotless, but willing. We set new boundaries. We deleted the photos from a version of us that wasn't built on full truth. And we promised, no more half stories. It took time. A lot of it. But little by little, we found our way back, not to the people we were, but to something stronger. I never replied to his ex. I didn't need to. Because the real closure didn't come from her, or the papers. It came from the fact that this time, we didn't walk away. So tell me, how did this story make you feel? Would you forgive someone if the past caught up like this? Or is trust too fragile to patch? Comment below, and let me know if you'd want a sequel to this story, maybe from his perspective next time.